Welcome to the Arkansas Shrimp Tank, where we bring you interviews from the best and brightest around the state of Arkansas, so that you can hear from their stories of success, but also learn from their mistakes. Our goal is not to make deals in the tank, but to teach you how to go from a shrimp to a shark in the business world.
Everybody, welcome to the post-show wrap-up of the Arkansas Shrimp Tank. I'm your host, Rich Jensen, along with my co-host today, Matt Haas, and our special guest, Jeff Smith of Leland's Lures. If you're a fisherman, you definitely want to listen to the entire podcast, and even if you're not, because there's so many great fish stories going in there. But Jeff has been tremendously successful. I think you said you've sold 400 million lures?
Yeah, somewhere between 300 and 400, over 300 million trout maggots, so wow. All the other lures as well.
So if you fish for trout or crappie, you want to listen to the entire podcast. There's all sorts of great, not just stories, but tidbits of information you'll want to know. So, and Jeff is also in the process of, is it going to be a TV show?
Well, it was a TV show. It actually was. It was on the Outdoor Channel for a while called Commander Life. And it was basically a show of the Duck Commander crew after Duck Dynasty, and basically just the life of the Commander life, you know, what they did. And for years, they would come up and fish with me, and then I'd hunt with them. Then they'd come up and deer hunt with me. So it's just the lifestyle of a duck commander. But now it's more well-rounded, because as soon as duck season ends, the fishing poles come out, right? And so then we go to turkey season, then we go to deer season, then we come back around the duck season. So the commander life is the lifestyle of faith, first of all, and then family, and then your passion. And so that's what the show is about, is just that lifestyle and enjoying life with our family, encompassed by a God that takes care of us and provides all those things, and then enjoying the process of spring, summer, fall, all the way through. So it's a lot of fun. Plus, you're with funny people. I mean, it's pretty crazy, some of the things that they do.
I think the word you used was weird.
Yeah, it's pretty weird. Yeah, pretty weird.
So one of the things you told us about your biggest mistake in business was not setting guidelines or parameters, because you're very relationship-oriented, just love to fish and love building relationships with people, but it kind of got you in trouble on a certain scenario. So it just kind of tell the listeners about that.
Yeah, because I'm relational, a lot of times, in my business dealings in particular, I would be more, okay, that's a good idea, instead of saying, well, here's the rules of our relationship. Here's the guidelines. And if you look at the largest retailers in the world, they've got guidelines, right? And so we need to have those guidelines, too, to say, okay, we have credit limits for each customer, no exception. Those things are there to protect both sides. Can you evaluate those at times? Set up when you evaluate those, because now we have to have those to protect ourselves, to make sure that I don't use the comfort level of the relationship to dictate how I do business with somebody. Have your rules and expectations, and then stick to them. That was my biggest mistake, because it hurt us the most.
It's like that old saying, good fences make good neighbors.
Absolutely, they make great neighbors, because it keeps the honest guy honest, right? And it keeps me knowing that I'm safe in a certain area. So for sure, setting those standards are really important for us right now.
Now, one of the things we talked about on the podcast is you obviously had tremendous success with the trout magnet and then the crappie magnet, but what made you decide to stay right there, or what lessons did you learn, or what advice did you give?
Well, I didn't tell you the real reason I started. All right? It's not because I'm smart. All right, it's not. So the original Walmart buyer mentioned to me on the very first meeting to change the trout magnet name to the magnet. Right, and I'm like, what I didn't tell them was I couldn't afford to do it. I literally had spent every money I had on a card that said Trout Magnet. And so I had enough of those to start the lure company. I couldn't change it to Magnet if I don't wanted to, right? Because the kids in my youth group were packaging it. Actually, a kid in my youth group designed it for me on his computer, which back in the 90s was a big deal.
You'll hear it in the podcast, is he was actually using the kids in his youth group to make these things to sell to Walmart out of his home for 3 years.
Anyways, there was no child labor laws broken that I know of. But anyway, so
you just called it ministry.
that's exactly right. I just nonprofit. But what I did is I kept it that way for that year. Within a few years, I remember a meeting I had with that person about 5 years later, and he said, if you would have changed it to magnet, you'd probably be out of business. Which at the time I hadn't thought about it that way, because he said, notice what's happening. This would have been in the early 2000s. All the companies were following us and becoming brand and species, especially species specific. And so you were limiting who you could sell to, but you limited in such a way that you controlled that market. Here's what was happening. I put Trout Magnet on my first lure. Well, when he told me that, I started making the Easy Trout Float, Trout SOS fishing line, Trout SLS fishing rod. You see what I'm saying? So it reduced the market we were in, but when we went to that market, we owned it. Every time I try to get outside of that market, I lose every time. Even crappie was difficult because that market's so much bigger. And so I had to realize it's going to be a long haul to grow that crappie side of the business. Trout exploded in our face. The reason it did, nobody was marketing to them. I didn't know that. I didn't have a clue. So being small in your focus is okay if that particular spot has a niche that you can be good at, right? And so that's where we've been successful.
We have some samples here, so and hopefully you can see them in the screen so that you can go into Walmart or go online, but figure out how to catch these things.
That's exactly right. We have different lures that do different things. We have a lot of videos out there. That's the Trout Magnet right there. It looks like nothing. Right? It looks like a little jig, but this jig right here will do something that, according to everybody that writes about it, does something that no other jig will do, and it's this. When it hits the water, it falls like that. Not like that. And that's the difference. And for trout, it means all the difference. There's something about it that turns them on or makes them mad. Either way, they want to eat it. But that's where it started. And everything else is made for a specific purpose, whether it be crappie. Let us know how we can help you to catch more fish.
So, Jeff, tell our listeners, our viewers, what's the best way for them to find out more information?
You can go to troutmagnet.com or crappiemagnet.com. You can go to our Facebook page, which is Trout Magnet as well, and see our videos there. You can look it up on YouTube to see all of our videos to see how to fish these products. And then you can find our products everywhere, from the largest distributors in the world to online at different distributors, as well as troutmagnet.com.
Well, again, Jeff, thanks for coming on the program.
Hey, thanks
today.
for having me.
It was great fun. And if you like fishing stories, you'll want to listen to the entire podcast. You can catch that at arkansas.shrimptankpodcast.com. You can also subscribe to our podcast through iTunes and iHeartRadio. Until next week, stay safe. And remember, in the business world, to become a shark, we all start out as shrimp.